Let's go. We get dubs around here, boy. What is good, my anime people? What is good? Yo, anybody watching that Black Clover video, you can watch right now. Oh, that I took at that girl, and she doodle, and she garbage. Oh, had to get that out, man. Had to put it in there. I get dubs. Alright? But what's good, my anime people? Tokyo Ghoul this week, guys. Let's talk about it. All right. I am a firm believer. And I know some of my friends and fans are gonna be like, "We told you so." But I am a firm believer that somehow, some way, they went and messed up well, at least one of my favorite characters. But the other character was pretty cool too, at certain times. But it makes so much more sense why other characters were living, like, in these arcs where we're going against people who we know are just like catastrophically strong and all this stuff. And then we have everybody go in, like Jason, for instance. They all rush in there, and no one comes out dead because they play much bigger roles in the future of the series. And there's not a lot of shows that do that, where they have so many characters that are going to play huge roles later on, be around throughout like the beginning to the end, and seemingly you have no idea that they're evil and stuff. So it kind of hurt to find that out, that a lot of these characters that I trusted and wanted to like a lot more were evil. So that hurt. 1 second. But because these characters were around for so long, it still felt like they had a chance to becoming good. Like they had people around that could easily remind them of things that were good for them. Um, and we see this with the blonde guy who pretty much, takes on everything on his own. He's going in as hard as possible, trying to figure out just how to stop a friend of his without actually killing him or being killed by him. And I felt like the fight of overall was rather lackluster just because of how it ended. Um, we first see all of a sudden that this man has this dope Kagune that he's been saving up, and has like all these arms, and he looks absolutely sick when he goes into it. And then he just ends up losing to somebody that wasn't hiding his Kamui like real transformation. He's just better with his Kamui supposedly. So that was my one like nitpick with that part of it. I mean, and it felt like when they were talking and they have these memories of not being able to stand and all that stuff. It felt like all of that was just brushed to the side. So for them to like reference something that we never knew about kind of killed it for me. I'm kind of like, oh, well, that'd be cool if I knew what you were talking about, bro. Like, what? When did this happen? I was not involved. So that kind of sucks. Look, now my bot's taking out 3 people, but he couldn't take out the one girl in the Black Clover video. Please go back and check that out and drop a like and make sure you share it. I truly hated the fact that as soon as we get Kamiki out, they then find out there's another core, like, instantaneous, man. They're like, oh, by the way, it looks like there's something else in there. And because of it, we are screwed. It's going, like, everything we did is absolutely worthless because there's another core. And not only is there another core, the person who's the core of this show, the core of our heart, Kamiki, wants to be the one to go out there and stop it all. Doesn't that sound like a good way to kill off a main character? Like, man, bro, Has he not seen any horror movies in the world that he lives in? Like, come on. This is the perfect setup to kill you, bro. Like, what are you doing? So, yeah, we're going to have to watch Kamaki, who had somebody. Um, you know what I mean? You're gonna have somebody pretty much sacrifice himself, or at least go all out in the stead of Kamaki, the brother of Toka. He pretty much is seemingly donezo. Like, he should die. Like, all as much as those people, as much of those things were coming out, the poison that they spread, and then not only that, his ability isn't even that strong. Like, we see those guys take hits that were, like straight up taking their bodies apart, So if he can't take their bodies apart with those diamond dust shooting things, I don't see him doing anything. Just in my opinion, like it's he's took out a little clump of them, but he only took out a little clump. And after he did do that, we go to Kamaki, so we don't even know really anything about his situation. It could be one of those moments where Kamaki is being pushed and almost losing, and he shows up to save the day, blah blah blah. But it just feels like his character in itself is not. Oh my god. It's just not as prevalent of like him being so strong. Like, sure, he's gotten stronger over the time skip, but is he strong enough to take on that many people, stay alive, and probably show up to help Kamaki at a time of need? It just doesn't feel likely. It feels like I've been waiting for a lot of these characters to bite the dust because of just how the story has been going as a whole. So it's just not surprising to me if any of these characters go, because it feels like all of these episodes have been piling up, piling up. Like, it feels like they're on borrowed time almost, simply because they have learned so much about each other and we learn all their stories. But at the same time, we get to see like two characters at least come out, figuring things out supposedly. But we also had a girl who pretty much showed up, told like Kamaki, like, everything you wanted is like, not working. It's pretty much fodder. Like, you need to figure out something else you want to do as a half human, half ghoul, because bringing the human world and the ghoul world together isn't it, Captain. Like, it ain't it, Chief. And because of that, it made me understand that definitely they're trying to put these characters in there with different agendas, which kind of sucked because, I mean, the red-haired chick was one of the cooler characters that never did anything, and then to come to find out that she's evil and she still hasn't done anything, and the final episode is next week. It's like, what is she gonna do besides get bodied at this point when she attacks whoever she attacks, like, or she attacks somebody and she survives and gets away with stealing somebody, you know what I mean? Like the guy that was making the mask, I meant stealing him away, like getting him away from the enemy, because he pretty much at this point lost from like a one shot lightning rod attack that seemingly like went throughout his whole body, not absolutely killing him, but doing enough damage to him to make him feel like he can't fight anymore. Okay. Like, he's like, give me a piggyback, right? It just felt like, and the guy who beats him's like, oh yeah, you can try to eat me whenever you want. Now get on my back and try to eat me, like, I'm gonna turn my whole entire back to you because you're my friend. And that was very powerful, but it just felt so lackluster because they didn't put any time in that 3-team group, which the redhead chick is a part of that little group, or like clique. So it's like, what did she have to say about all this? Like, where does she stand when it comes down to him, like, almost accepting the friendship when they're both just working side by side together? But I mean, as we saw, the father of the Inspector Araman, or I always pronounce his name wrong, but the guy with the who hated ghouls and was working with the mad guy, the guy with the crazy looking eyes in season one. Um, all of those things have been put to the side, and he finally like gets to fight the man that he was talking to in his jail cell, which turned out to be his father. But with all that being said, he still never really understood why his hatred really never was as strong as it should have been. And he confesses that he truly loved his father. He truly loved the aspect of everything his father would do in the kind ways for him. Like things like a dog passing away and the dad taking it up to the mountain and giving it a grave, or if the blankets fell off of him, the dad would put them back on him. He was an actual nice guy to one human, and that one human had to have been the guy who, grew up thinking that that was his actual father, if it really was. I don't remember. It sounded like they were at like an orphanage, or like he was a pastor or something, so he could have just been one of the church kids or something. I don't fully remember if he's actually the father or if he's just a father, and you literally in church call those people fathers. So it could have been one of those relations that they wanted. I think the translation could have been lost in that aspect too. So it would be nice to know what they were really trying to go for. It would be cool if he really was like his birth dad, and for some reason he actually got with a human mother, and he came out like normal like that, or he came out kind of like Kamiki, but just a late bloomer or something. But none of this is explained. We don't even know how he just shows up in the first place. He supposedly had no relationship to the doctor in the CCG, because if he did, he probably would have been, called upon to work for them. And if not called upon, we would at least probably seen a scene of him like rejecting it, or telling them straight up like, nah bro, I do what I do. But no, none of that. It was just like, hey, yeah, this guy, he's back and he's a ghoul and he's really strong, and then the second to last episode he's gonna do a really big attack, and the big attack's gonna cut a guy in half. Okay, that's his whole story. So again, I understand manga people. I really hope they gave this man a flushed out, like 2-page backstory or something. Like, this feels rough, man. This feels really rough that they did him like this. But I can only hope that he got a better manga outing. Like, not outing, but he had a better manga understanding of just what the heck was actually going on through his mind, and what could actually, put him through different stuff. Level 70? Alright, let's just, for the laughing gigs, let's see how bad this thing slaps me. Oh, it's a Keelik. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. He's gonna go into his ultimate form and slap me. But yeah, I truly don't see anything changing with the pacing of the show. Like, this was a fast pacing. Kamiki gets out, he literally learns the same episode that he's got to go back in, and now he's in. And the one thing that really hurt me was seeing the owl with her head gone and being controlled. Like, why? Why, bro? Like, was she that unstable in the sense of, like, they couldn't control her, that they wanted to just make sure, regardless of what happened, she goes through with what she's supposed to go through? Because the guy who died way back in the raid, the guy with the red mask that I truly loved, dies by a guy that pretty much he created, like a Kamiki. He pretty much became adjacent to that guy and then died to him just like Jason. So literally we got to see another Kamiki type of play out with the white hair and everything of another person. It just wasn't as like coherent as the Kamiki transformation was. They didn't really go into that much detail to explain even what the heck was going on. But when we learned that, the guy who pretty much took him in during the raid in the first place, was still pretty much on his, like, someone that he remembered vividly, it was pretty clear that he was the one who probably then had people torture him just like as Kamiki did to see if he got the same type of outcome, which he pretty much did. So, yeah, I honestly don't know what to make of this show at times, but at the same time, I'm just glad I get to watch a anime that has characters that I've been watching and they get a conclusion to their story. Some of these characters that I love to death will never even see the daylight of the end game of where they were supposed to end up or where they were even going in the first place because of writing or just because the animators don't want to animate it or they didn't have the rights to it anymore. You know, it just sucks. And to see characters that I actually cared about getting their, you know, somewhat of an ending, like Bleach, for instance, that animation is not getting an ending anytime soon, supposedly. So I'll never know really what happens to Ichigo unless I go and read. You know, like they're forcing people to read. The studios are because they're not animating anymore, and that sucks, man. So be thankful that you guys even got to see an animation of this as long as you did because it only happened because this series is popular, and that was in part of all of us who enjoyed it and wanted more from it. And if we don't continue to give that type of, you know, feedback and enjoyment, we won't be seeing anything. And anime will go right back to where it was back in the time when we didn't even get simultaneous dubs because they were like, no one cares about this series enough for us to want to put money into a dub. So remember, every word, everything we do as an anime community has some type of power. Even if you don't see it within 4 or 5 years, it's still something that could have been helpful back then when you wanted it to be only negative and only fit your agenda. So Tokyo Ghoul, not the perfect series, not even close when it comes to story, but when it comes to this animation, when it comes down to just being able to finish, it's pretty perfect in that aspect. And I thank the studio for actually going through with all the criticism that they had and still giving us the Tokyo Ghoul that they saw that they wanted to end because clearly this is not the manga's work, like the full-on work. Some people did tell me that this was like a couple episodes or this last episode was, you know, pretty on point with some of the details that they were giving us at least. But at the end of the day, all leading up to it, it wasn't, you know. So this wasn't the manga. This was an anime really told Tokyo Ghoul, and if you don't like that, I understand. Um, I'm not gonna do reviews on the manga, me reading it and stuff, but if you do want to know my opinions on that, I'll probably be in this Discord that I think I can invite people to. So if you have a Discord and you want to talk to me and other anime people that I talk to, just ask me and I'll keep plugging it. So if you guys are interested, just let me know and I will try to get you guys' info and stuff like that. So, alright, my anime people, I've gone on long enough. I think you guys want me to release you. And this will be my last video for the day. So it was awesome getting to get this out to you guys. I read all comments, so make sure you drop a like if you enjoyed, or drop a dislike if you have some criticism for me, which is okay. I mean, the whole point of me having a channel and trying to see your guys' appeal and see what you guys enjoy is by hearing what you guys don't enjoy, so I can either help you see my perspective and maybe you'll enjoy it a little bit more, or I can see your perspective and we can, you know, talk about animes that had better perspectives in the ways we saw it. So it's always fun for me to learn things that actually make people feel certain ways. So thank you so much for even allowing me to be on your subscribe. I am the Anime G, and I hope you have a good day, night, morning, whatever the case, and I will talk to you in the next one. Alright, peace. I couldn't get him off me, man. Final fight. Oh wow, that shit looks slow. No, I'm dead. Oh, that's sick. That's pretty weak. My turn. Wow! Sir, I do not appreciate any of that. I'm gonna have to cheese you, my good sir. No!